Well, this is my Dickson rifle. It's almost as new. I reckon it'll probably come from the 1970s or 80s. I've fired a few rounds down it, but other than that I think it's unused. So having been unable to find anything about it on the internet, I thought I'd post it just so that you see what they look like before I put a moderator and a scope on it. And here we are, this is just the other side of the thing. One of the nicest things about the rifle is this engraving along the top of the barrel. John Dickson and Sons, Edinburgh. Calibre 270. It's got a very basic leaf sight, 100, 200 and 300 yards. Parker Hale scope mounts. Mauser bolt, which is fairly sloppy, but apparently that was part of the design. They're a military bolt. I have been told that the first ones were made with confiscated bolts after the Second World War. All the visible metalwork is nicely polished. It's got a ramp foresight, and the woodwork's okay. Piece of walnut with a couple of blemishes and knots in it. The checkering is really quite rough and ready. Little plastic cap on the pistol grip and a perished rubber butt pad. There's a bolt release latch there and the safety on the end of the bolt. It has a top-fed floor plate magazine. I believe these were inspired by military rifles, and the idea was that you could access the magazine by pressing on that button with a bullet, but that wouldn't do the accuracy of the bullet a whole lot of good. So I'm going to use a piece of wood. You press the button down and slide the floor plate backwards, and it just pops straight out. So now I think we'll have a look inside it, see what we've got. It's a free floating barrel, so there are only 2 screws. That's 4 including the lock screws. There are only 2 screws holding the action to the woodwork. And the metalwork is fairly well unfinished in all the places where it's out of sight. Nitro proof to 19 tons. No really datable proof marks. Sometimes they have a view proof which can be dated, but this rifle hasn't, which is unfortunate because I would like to know how old it is. Well, I've just had a look in the directory of proof marks, and this is a post 1954 London proof. Now this is the exciting bit. some time ago I bought myself one of these borescopes. It's absolutely fantastic. We're just leaving the chamber now and going into the throat of the rifle, which is in good nick. The rifling is nice and crisp. Both the lands and the grooves are as smooth as any that I've looked in. And obviously, since I bought this scope, I've looked in lots of rifles. I think we've all figured out by now that this is no more than a Parker Hale rifle that's been polished a little bit and says Dickson on the front of it. But what we have to remember is that Parker Hale had one of the best barrel plants in the world, and they made really, really accurate barrels. Very, very, very impressed with this barrel. And now we're approaching the crown, and it has the best, neatest crown that I've had this borescope down. So I'm really pleased with it. Parker Hale or Dickson, I really don't mind. It's a jolly good rifle. It's almost a shame to chop the end off it and stick a moderator on. But that's the way of the world. That's what we do nowadays. So if anybody knows any more about this rifle than I do, I would be very pleased to hear from you.